Hello and welcome to the United Stand, Manchester United versus Burton Albion preview, and absolutely loads of topics to get through as well, in addition to this game, which I'm very excited about, and Jose Mourinho has already said he is very excited about and he wants to defend this trophy. But you know what? What I love about Manchester United fans more than anything is the fact that we have, Burton Albion at home. Other clubs may not be interested in it, but there's two big reasons I'm very excited about this game. I'd watch it anyway, but two big ones. That's Luke Shaw and Angel Gomez. Will they both play? And that, for me, is enough to be really excited about the game, because we get to see two players at the different ends of the spectrums. I totally agree. Luke Shaw needs to start playing for Manchester United. We know that. He does need to start playing and needs to start playing ASAP. And he could potentially solve the problem for us down that right-hand side. Left-hand side. But Angel Gomez, we were talking about him last night, potentially leaving Manchester United, which none of us want to happen, obviously. But what an opportunity. And I think he will be involved in some point. We know pretty much what Jose Mourinho is going to do in relation to the team. In fact, there's the team behind me there. So let's talk about that for a minute. Let me show. I've got my little yellow pen on there. I love my little yellow pen. So we know De Gea's not playing. We know Bailly's not playing. We know Matic isn't playing. We know Lukaku's not playing, and we know Valencia's not playing. In fact, hold that on Lukaku. I'm not sure about Lukaku, but Valencia, De Gea, Bailly, definitely, and Matic definitely not part of the squad. So I've got Romero in goal, Smalling and Lindelof. I fully expect them to come in. Obviously Luke Shaw at left back. Really looking forward to him getting down that left hand side, and that natural cross, which you know I love. Not this silly right footed cross. That natural left foot cross. Let's hope he can get a few of those in. Darmian at right back. Now it would have been Twansibi for me, and I'm sure it would have been Twansibi for a lot of you, but he's not part of the squad. He's got a back injury, so that's unfortunate. So Darmian is a make-do player at right back. Michael Carrick. Perfect game for him. Not played at all this season. Certainly on the decline, but still a fantastic player. And you know what? For a little bit of sentimentality, I am very excited to see Carrick playing tomorrow as well, because he's been one of my favourite players. And I think this will be his last year. So, Carrick needs to keep some level of fitness, and a perfect game for him to play. And Herrera, obviously, he needs game time. This is perfect for him. I've put Gomez in there because that's the perfect position for Angel Gomez. A lot of people say, oh, where's Angel Gomez's position? But it's in that circle, really. It is that number 10 position that Mkhitaryan has been playing recently. So we could quite comfortably play him in there against Burton Albion, who they will put up a fight, but this is Burton Albion. And when you look at the rest of that team, it shouldn't have any problems that we can't accommodate that sort of young player and give him the platform. And I think in ahead of Carrick and Herrera, with Lingard, Rashford and Martial ahead of him, that is enough security for the young lad to go in there and impose himself on the game. Do I think Mourinho will start Angel Gomez? No, I don't think he will, but I would start him in that game. I think it's absolutely perfect that he does start. Lingard obviously needs to play. He's not been playing that much this season, and this is an opportunity to take the tournament seriously, but also to give some leg time. It might be a little bit stronger than people want, but let's think about it. Pereira's on loan, Fosu Mensah's on loan, Rashford's part of the setup, Twansibi's injured. So apart from Gomez and McTominay, who I'm going to mention in a minute, then what young players do you want to be in there? So I think this is more about giving some of the experienced players who aren't part of the squad, who are coming back from injury, some game time. Rashford should play up front. He's been stuck out on the wing. He's been doing a good job, but he was poor at the weekend. Give him a run out in his own position and get a little bit of confidence into him. So I definitely would start Rashford. And the same for Martial. Would you start Martial? What else would you do? I suppose we could use Mata if we wanted to, but that's how I would personally line up, and I'd be very happy with it. Ben17 says Twansibi right back. Twansibi's injured. He is not part of the squad. I had him in mind this afternoon, but he has been confirmed that he won't be part of the squad because of a bad back injury. Samuel R makes a great point about Dimitri Mitchell. Definitely would have him on the bench. Don't think he'd be a starter for me, but you could consider him for this position. Maybe Martial's position, because he has played as an attacker before. No first teamers, says Tubes, and Twansibi is injured, as we know. Let's talk about Scott McTominay then. That's the lineup I would go with then. I don't actually think Gomez will play. I've got to be honest with you. I don't think Gomez will play. He might play McTominay in there, or maybe a Mata, but I don't think he will start Gomez. I think Gomez, if he is on the bench, will come on later on in the game. I want to talk about this Lukaku chant as well in a minute, but first of all, let's talk about Scott McTominay. Now, in relation to some of my predictions over the summer, I'm not having the best one. In fact, some people might say my knowledge of my predictions are about as experienced as a Scouser is in winning Premier League titles. But you know, as I said to you on Periscope today, I'm not going to say I got it totally wrong about Matic because he's only played a handful of games, but I'm definitely impressed by him. And I did say when he signed that I was going to back him, and he's been my man of the match for the last 2 games. So I think the genius of Mourinho shines through again. On the this is one that's probably going to bite me on the arse again. Scott McTominay, I don't think he'll ever be anything better than a Championship player from what I've seen. I think Mourinho likes him because he's tall. And I hope he proves me wrong. I do hope he proves me wrong, because at the end of the day, if he proves me wrong, then Manchester United are going to do well from it. But he's not a player that impresses me that much, and I'd much rather see Angel Gomez starting the game, because I think he is a player that we need to get to sign that contract as soon as possible. He could go for very little money next summer if we don't get him on a contract. But also, I think this is the perfect platform for us. We are the League Cup champions. Mourinho has said he will take it seriously. He wants to retain that trophy. And to be honest with you, with the squad we've got and the games we've got, and if we get favourable draws, we could end up getting back to Wembley again quite comfortably. The League Cup is about what the effort levels that you put into it. And unfortunately for United, we talk about the strength of the bench this season, but we do have those players that are part of this lineup here, with Darmian and Carrick and Smalling and Lindelof and Luke Shaw and Herrera and Lingard. They are not first teamers. They are not first teamers at the moment. There's 7 or 8 of them not first teamers who are going to be much better than Burton tomorrow. And their game time this season could be, you know, 20 minutes here and there in the Premier League and maybe the Champions League. But ultimately, League Cup is your opportunity to play for United. So I think we will take it seriously. And I don't think there's anything wrong with us taking it seriously. I'm not opposed to it, is basically what I'm saying. I'm not opposed to us giving it a go. Why not? Why not? Why not? JJ Larkin is quoting the Lukaku song. Got no problem with that. That's what you want to do. That's up to you. I'm going to give you my thoughts in that in a moment. And lots of other things to discuss. But one thing I do want to ask you is, in relation to Anthony Martial, would you like to see Martial starting the game on tomorrow? And what impact do you think that then has on his ability to start the game on Saturday? 3 days apart, I think Southampton's going to be a difficult game for us. Anyway, the reason I asked that is because you can download the Vol app. Link is in the video description. It's like a new football Instagram / Twitter. It's only been running about 3 or 4 weeks. We're on there, as you can see, at United Stand. It's free to download on Android and on Apple. Download it for free. Link in the video description. Make sure you follow us, because what we do on there, I mean, we've just put this up. Go on, Luke. Like if you want to see this man starting against Burton. I've only just posted that, to be fair. But what we are doing there is we're using it for the poll thing. I like the polls. And the question I've just put up as well, should Anthony Martial start against Burton? Of which I voted no, but I'm in the massive minority of 8.3%, because 91.7% says he should start. And the sort of polls we're putting up on there, are you thinking, man or woman's polls? Not like should Angel Gomez start, because everyone wants him to start. But the Martial one, I think if he doesn't start, that's a big indicator he might start against Southampton. So that's why I don't really want him to start tomorrow. I think, 3 days before a big game, maybe give him a rest. But the Vol app is down in the video description. Follow us at United Stand, all one word. Get yourself on there now. Set yourself up with an account early, because it's going to be, I'd say in 2 or 3 months, it's going to be absolutely massive, and you'll be starting with no followers, and you'll be like, I wish I'd got on this at the start. Like I said before, we were exactly the same with Twitter. We didn't get on until quite late, really, and you want to be on these social media drives at the start. So Vol, link in the video description. Get on it, and we're on there at United Stand, and make sure you play our polls every day. But let's talk about this Lukaku chant. The Lukaku chant then, what are your thoughts on it? I'm not going to read it out, but it does it does refer to the size of Lukaku's penis. I can say that, and how many goals he scores and things like that. There's been a complaint from the Kick It Out of Football Racism charity or foundation, and I very much suspect that it will be banned. How do you stop 70,000, 75,000 fans singing a song? Do you kick them out because they start singing it? It's an interesting one, and unfortunately I think, as I said at lunchtime, this is the society that we live in. Ultimately, the letter of the law is that if somebody finds that a racist comment, or they take it as an offensive comment, then it will be banned. It doesn't matter whether it's overreacting, it's just banter, it's what you get on the football terraces. You know, I do agree with all that, and maybe Lukaku finds it funny, but it only takes one or two people, and they don't necessarily have to be of that ethnicity, to find it offensive, and that will be the end of that. And that's the political correctness world we live in. It's political correctness gone mad, some would say. I'm not quite on that, to be honest. There are some political correctness laws that come in that I think are ridiculous. But in relation to this, you know what? 10, 20 years ago would have been fine. That banter on the terraces is going to die out, though. But what I would say is, you know, we jump on something because it's potentially racist. What about all the people who do the plain thing about Munich? I mean, you know, just because that's not got an ism next to it, that is vile. That is inciting hatred. That is offending people. That is, you know, taking the United Legends, dead United Legends names in vain. And do they get kicked out? No. But because as soon as it's got an ism on it, even though it's banter and it's a joke, no, that's going to be banned. So there is hypocrisy there. People are terrified when there is an ism attached to it. But ultimately, if I'm totally honest, and I said this at lunchtime, there's a cracking episode of The Office with David Brent in it. I think it's season 2, episode 1 or 2. He's telling a joke about the royal family. Has it been in the bread bin? And he's talking about a black man's willy, funnily enough. And he gets hauled into the office because it's racist. And his boss tells him not to do it. And he says, well, it's not racist, is it? At the end of the day, if anything, I'm being nice about it. They should be proud of it. And that's the problem, isn't it? It's like, you know, you are stereotyping based on ethnicity, and some people find that offensive. You know, I totally get both sides, and the reality is, I think it will end up being banned. I really do. Everything's racist these days, says Kieran. Mark, say black and you'll get arrested. Well, you know. Everything is hype, don't hate, says Stephen Jones. Thought men like other men thinking they have... okay, people are triggered by everything nowadays, says Samuel R. Look, you can... I was watching the Great British Bake Off last week. Now, I'm not saying you should watch it, but I was watching it. There was a 2-second clip where one of the presenters was in a fridge. It was all over the UK papers saying how irresponsible it was. Children watch this, they might go and get in the fridge. I'm sorry... Any child that thinks that's watching Great British Bake Off and who climbs in a fridge shouldn't be watching the Great British Bake Off. They should be watching under 3s programmes. And also, the parents should just tell them, don't go in the fridge. And also, you shouldn't have a bloody empty fridge that somebody can go and get in, because it should have a load of shelves in it. So that is the world we live in. I mean, we can moan about the Lukaku thing, but people will complain about anything now. And again, this is... I don't think in relation to this case, but I think... in relation to a lot of the other cases, the government, society is just way too weak, and people know that they can make a complaint, and especially if you attach an ism to it, and people will be just terrified and go, yep, we'll take that complaint. VK Dean says he's going to complain because the black background of the comment section is racist. Well, you know, it was white yesterday, but that's because it's broken and we're trying to get it fixed. Right, what else did I want to talk? Let's get it back to United, but I do think it will ultimately be banned. I can't see anything about that. Scott McTominay wants to be a regular first-team footballer. Maybe he's off to the Championship sooner than later. That's a joke. That is a joke. Look, if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. Maybe I am goading McTominay. Maybe he does watch the United stand. Maybe I don't think he's good enough. And if he proves me wrong, I'll take the L again. I'm not bothered. Absolutely not bothered. Not bothered at all. There was some talk that Herrera is concerned that he won't get back into the team ahead of Matic. I think that's totally right. And this is an interesting thing I wanted to mention to you as well. This theory that Manchester United have been lucky so far because they've not played anybody of any decency. Did we pick the fixtures? I'm very happy with the fixtures. I said this at the start of the season. I totally agree that we've had favourable fixtures, but the reality is that if after 6 games we've won 5, which is the next international break, and no, 7 games it will be at the next international break because we've played 5 now. So if we win the next 2 and we've won our first 6 and drawn 1, then I'm ecstatic with our start to the season. People say, oh, it levels itself out, and look at Chelsea, they've already played a couple of tough teams. That's nonsense. Actually, what happens is, by about game 7, 8, 9, you get into a consistent rhythm, and that's why it's better with the start that we've had, that there have been teams that we can beat. Because we had it last year, apart from City. We should have beaten Watford away, we just didn't turn up. So I think it's a nonsense. I do think that we will get tested by other teams. I think, I've said it before, I do worry about Fellaini in the midfield too, against a team that actually wants to play football against us. But Everton wanted to defend, and it worked quite well, and I don't think Mourinho's stupid to that. So people are looking for angles to get at Manchester United. We know that the vast majority of the press and the country don't like Manchester United, so they'll be starting to try and find a way to sort of niggle at us, saying we've been lucky, this, that and the other. But I'll just repeat what I said at the weekend. If we'd beaten one team 4-0, having been 1-0 up with 10 minutes to go, then maybe as a one-off that would be lucky. But we've done it 3 times now, and that's not luck. That is a team that is totally and utterly fit, desirable and passionate to play through to the 90th minute, and we are blitzing teams away. And what basically happens is these teams come to Old Trafford, or they entertain us, they try and play it tight, and then in the last 10 minutes they try and get back in the game, and their mentality changes and they leave space. And then, having had to try and break through a brick wall for 80 minutes, a team suddenly tries to take us on, they leave space, and we kill them because we've got the players to do that. And I think that's what's happening with United at the moment. So I've got no issues with what we're doing. Pogboom says, talk about Rio Ferdinand. Well, let's talk about this game tomorrow, and then I will talk about Rio Ferdinand's boxing and take a few questions of yours, because obviously that's what it's all about. Arthur Ella says Martial will play up top and Rashford will not start. It'll be interesting to see who we played on the left. Could play Ashley Young there. Personally, I'd like Ashley Young to have a rest because he's playing so well at the moment. I've got one eye on that Southampton game, and I do want to keep an element of fitness for some players. So it's great that Valencia and Bailly and Matic are not going to play tomorrow night, because we do need some freshness in the game at the weekend. Would Fellaini start tomorrow? Probably would. Mourinho seems to really like him, doesn't he? So maybe he will start. But I'm going to go. I think we'll win it. I've not given my score prediction. I do think we'll win it. And for those joining late, this is the team I think we'll play. Apart from, I've just put Angel Gomez in there because I want him to play in that position. But I think it could be Fellaini, maybe McTominay. But I'd like to see that team, and I'd be very excited to see it because I can't wait for Luke Shaw to play. I really, really can't. But my score prediction, I'm not going to go mad on this one. I'm not going to say we're going to win 4-0 because there's going to be quite a lot of changes. And Burton are a championship side that aren't doing too bad. So I'm going to go Manchester United to win it 2-0, which would be good. Great clean sheet. But we've only got 2.5 days before the Southampton game in the afternoon on Saturday. So I would use the squad wisely, but I fully expect us to be in the next round of the League Cup, and I've got no problem with that. I think we've got such a big squad at the moment of players that maybe need a little bit more game time, that still being in the League Cup is good, and it's good for us as fans because United are playing twice a week. I mean, we've got Southampton at the weekend, then we're playing again in Europe in the Champions League, then we've got Crystal Palace, then it's an international break, but what can we do about that? I'm going to take some of your questions, and I'd like to see Martial play up front tomorrow, Fionn. I've got no problem with it. And what about James Wilson, says Keshav 20. As far as I know, he's still injured. He did his knee. I know he's been named in the squad, but I don't think he's fit. If he was, I would get him involved. It'd be interesting to see what our bench was. Tahith Chong is injured. He would be brilliant to be part of it, but he had a bad knee injury. I think it was around March time, so he's not back yet either. There might be a couple of youngsters who can get involved. But you know what? there's never a part of me in relation to these games that gets negative, oh, I can't be bothered with it or anything like that. We'll be live tomorrow night with the watch along from about 6:45 right the way through till full time, and we'll enjoy it. And Luke Shaw watch alone is well worth 90 minutes because I really want to see him. And Burton are if people who don't know anything about Burton, Nigel Clough, formerly of Forest, here we go, son of a legend anyway, Brian, and you know, from a footballing family, a very good footballer himself in a footballing sense. And Burton, whilst they're a typical Championship side who, you know, that they'll be physical, they also try to play football as well. So I think it'll be a good test for United, and certainly Luke Shaw and hopefully Angel Gomez. I'd love it tomorrow night if Angel Gomez got anything more than half an hour. I think it'd be fantastic. Get him signing a new contract on Thursday. Brilliant. Absolutely superb. Captain Moran Fellaini says, what about That's Football Fan TV? That's Football is our generic channel. There's no watch along this week because it's League Cup games. But I am doing a show tonight at 10:30 live, just covering all the League Cup games and just giving like a 10-minute sort of review of that. And the next watch along on there is the weekend. I think it's Saturday lunchtime, Celtic versus Rangers. But that's if you follow That's Football on YouTube. Matthew McFadden's got a. I did say earlier today that if they do ban the Lukaku song because it is deemed to be racist, then I'm more than happy for people to keep that chant going at Old Trafford and just substitute Lukaku for Goldbridge. But Matthew McFadden, you should have, you know, for me to read this out, Matthew, you really should make a contribution on the Super Chat because I'm just disrespecting myself for free here. But he says, Mark Goldbridge is our United Stand main speaker with half an inch pecker. Doesn't rhyme. Should do better. But let's talk about, please do drop a like on the video, everybody. And thanks for all your messages you've sent me today. Really, you know, I really appreciate it. And I think we've got a fantastic community here, and let's just keep it going. Pogboom says his notifications are messed up. I'll remind everybody about that in a minute. But let's talk about Rio Ferdinand boxing. I'm against it. I'm against it. I think it's all about this. He's a 38-year-old man. He's had a horrible tragedy losing his wife. He's got kids that are young, and boxing's a dangerous sport. I don't know whether Rio is stable in mind or the people around him are not advising him well, but I think as a pundit, Ferdinand's quite good. I think as an ex-player, he's played for England, Manchester United, under Sir Alex Ferguson. He's got a lot of knowledge, and he certainly understands the media and you know, he speaks very well, very eloquently. Why he's getting in a boxing ring is beyond me. Now, I'm dead against it. I think it's a bad idea. I think what we have seen with Mayweather and even with KSI and Joe Weller, unbelievable. That there's a lot of money to be made if you get into the ring and you start getting a bit of publicity. The public buy into that at the moment. But I don't want to see Rio Ferdinand brain damaged or something like that. And people say, oh, that won't happen. I've watched a lot of boxing through my life. I remember Nigel Benn and McClelland, and it was a cracking, it was a brilliant fight. What did it end up with? Brain damage. Again, Watson and Eubank ended up with somebody with brain damage. It can happen. And I just don't see why Rio Ferdinand's doing that. But a lot of people are really happy for him. Defender to something else. King of the ring and all that stuff. But not for me. But you know what? It's, you know, I don't know him. It's nothing, you know, it's all about... It's about opinion, isn't it? That's what it always comes down to. And for me, I think it's a bad idea. But I'm only saying that 100% because I like Rio Ferdinand as a United, one of our best defenders of the last 30 years. And I don't want him to get hurt. But that's the risk you take if you get in a ring. The next show, Captain Maron Fellaini, is going to be the watch-along tomorrow night. But we're not going yet, so don't worry. Rio versus David Hay, says Ben 17. Look, if you know anything about boxing, David Hay will just kill him. He will get brain damage. He's going to have to take on somebody. I mean, I heard people saying Rio Ferdinand versus Tony Bellew would be a good fight. I don't think people understand. It's a bit like Mayweather and your other man, totally McGregor. You know, McGregor's a fantastic fighter, but when you get into the ring with a professional boxer, you'll get picked off. Ferdinand at 38 is not going to learn the skills to get into the ring with a David Haye. He will absolutely smash his face in. So I think he's going to have to take on a bit of a celebrity fight or something like that. But I won't watch it with interest because I think there is this this sort of gimmick attached to boxing at the moment, and yeah. Anyway, chuck us some questions. We may as well stay live for a little bit because it's all good fun. In relation to your notifications, all I can say to everybody is if you look underneath your video of watching now, you'll see the subscribe button. Make sure you are subscribed, and then next to that there's a bell button. Click the bell, tick the box that says get all notifications for this channel, and then save it. Apparently YouTube have told me that a lot of people don't tick that box or don't have all notifications on, which is why they're not getting all notifications. So we need more and more evidence of this, that people aren't getting their notifications, that I can take it back to them. But they've done some analysis on the channel and said there's a lot of people that haven't got their notifications ticked to get all notifications. So underneath the video, whether you're on phone or Chrome or whatever, I think if you're on Internet Explorer you have to click it so you get 2 lines next to your bell. But yeah, click the bell. You've got to be subscribed first. Click the bell and then tick all notifications, save, and then it should do it. Kieran McDonald, what are your thoughts on KSI versus Weller? I think that whole YouTube boxing thing is 100%, and in fact I've heard this of a lot of people being in the YouTube industry, it is 100% staged. It's not a coincidence that the likes of people saw with McGregor and Mayweather, didn't they? Just how much money and publicity you can get from that. So if you go and do something like, if you're a big YouTuber, and let's be honest, YouTubers like that are starting to, people are getting a bit tired of it, aren't they? So, you do something like that, you create a load of interest, and I guarantee they'll be best friends after it. I mean, Haye versus Bello was the same. Oh, it was horrific, the stuff they were saying about each other in the build-up, and then suddenly they're good friends afterwards. I could get a boxing match, couldn't I, with 1 or 2 people, and they were not necessarily outside of the Manchester United community. And I'm sure there'd be a lot of interest in it. Even in our little world of Manchester United YouTube, there'd be a hell of a lot of interest if we did it. I'm not going to do it because I don't agree with it, and I wouldn't sell my soul out just to get a load of publicity and a load of money. But I do think that. Would I start Joel Pereira as HDX11? You know what? I would like to see him play. I would. But it will be Romero. Captain Marin Fellaini says, I love your channels, Mark. You're doing a great job. Well, I never thought I'd get that from somebody with Fellaini in the name. Rio versus Jan Terry, says Tubes. I'd watch that. Do you think United will win the league, says Robin Hammergren? I do, actually. I do. And too much corruption in boxing anyway, says Andrew K. DT wants to fight Elliot Crawford. What's DT getting involved in it? I had a message from DT on Twitter today because I had a bit of a difficult day on Twitter today, and I said I was, I'm very open about the fact that I do get down and sort of have dark moods and stuff like that. And the great thing about the society at the moment is that people are becoming more and more aware of mental illness and mental health problems. And I'm a firm believer in the jobs that I've done and the experiences I've had myself and with family members that everybody has an element of mental health issues. Everybody gets down. It's just different levels. So I was on Twitter today and I just basically said, everyone's got limits. There's people saying they want to murder me, calling me a kiddie fiddler and all this lot. And I was just like, I was in a situation on the train with no one to talk to, so I just put it on Twitter. To which DT replied and went, "Oh, take this work whichever way you want, Mark, but you've been goading me for a while for no reason." So I replied to him and I said, I totally disagree and think you've done it the other way, but I haven't got a problem with you. It's total banter when I'm winding him up. I just tend to just say, I've never said anything abusive about anybody, and I wouldn't do. So I don't understand. He's got his own path to go down, but I don't understand why somebody who's doing very well as a football YouTuber wants to start fighting kids on YouTube. But that's the world we live in at the moment. I know Drawty, I was speaking to him, and he just he hates social media and what it's becoming. But if you hate it, get off the bus, don't you? You know, that's the way it is. You know, there's a lot of horrible people on social media. I'm not talking about DT there. I'm talking about some of the stuff I saw today. Chris Glover, that made me laugh, but I obviously won't read it out. Hi Mark, Jose will get rid of some fringe players if certain players don't shine, says John Watnew. Mark, I'm missing a fire group chat right now, says Fionn Curtin. You see, whoosh, that's over my head. I don't even know what it is. Night Whisper says you called the Fellaini hate channel on Twitter. I don't care what people say at the end of the day. We've got a really good community here. This whole think I'm the voice of Manchester United fans is, for anybody who's watched this channel for any length of time, you know it's total nonsense. You know I and the channel and the people who do it are very passionate about your comments. I mean, what I've just spent doing for the last 10 minutes talking to you lot. Last night, you lot calling in. We want more and more and more of that. It's a fan channel and we want people to have their say. If people think we're a Fellaini hate channel, then we're doing something right. If people think I don't like Matic, then we're doing something right. If people think that my head's stuck up Mourinho's backside no matter what he does, then we're doing something right. Because you know what? The opinions of the show and the opinions of you are leaking out to people who don't like this content or don't watch this content, and they're getting a misconception. But the reality is, things will be said on this show all by everybody. Lots and lots of basically different opinions, and that's what football is. That's what football is. Because I didn't want Matic in June, like a lot of fans, suddenly I can't like Matic. I don't know how that works, because the minute he signed, I said I was going to back him. A month ago, I said, actually, I got it wrong about Matic. What a signing. But some people just live in absolutes, and you know it's hard to keep up. I'm hoping this Christmas. I've been asking for years for them to do it, because I think it would. I'd certainly buy a copy. I'm hoping we're going to get finally this Christmas top seller amongst the Manchester United community is How to Be a Top Red by certain top reds, because I really need to learn the lessons. Is it when you say something but you can never change your mind again? That'd be one thing. And how far out of Manchester do you have to do? How close to Manchester do you have to live to be a real fan? And there's a few other things as well. And like, how many games do you have to go to be a proper fan? That's another one as well. So there's loads of things, and I'm really hoping that this book will come out this year, because I've been asking for it. You know, these people are the messiahs, these top reds, and they need to share the knowledge. It's like it's like some sort of secret circle. They don't tell us what the rules are. I'm struggling not to laugh. Amy says, who is DR? Brilliant. You don't need to know. Kevin Peterson versus Rio Ferdinand. It's better than somebody just said Rio Ferdinand against me. I think he'll batter me, Rio. He's a big bloke, to be fair. But it's not about how big he is. It's not about how much time he spends in the gym. Boxing's a skill that you don't learn in 2 years. It's an absolute skill. These are masters. McGregor would kick the crap out of Mayweather in any other arena, but put him in a boxing ring and I knew Mayweather would beat him, because it's an art form. There's rules. You can only do certain things, and they'll kill someone. Absolutely kill someone. Are we going to show the game tomorrow, says Muhi? No, that's not what a watch-along's all about. A watch-along is a watch-along where we will watch it together. I like the first hour before the game starts, really, because we do go through the team news and talk about a few things. But yeah, we will be live tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to it. Lindelof will start tomorrow, Andy. I definitely think he will. And Rio versus Roy Keane. Well, they wouldn't do it, but Roy Keane can handle himself. He can. Rooney can handle himself. He's an ex-boxer as well. Mark Bolton, ignore the hate. You always read out comments with different opinions to you, and you always encourage people to ring no matter what their opinion is. What more can you do? Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I would never, ever, if somebody rings up on a Skype show and says, you know, as long as they're not abusive, if they said, look at you, you got it wrong about Matic, I'd tell them the truth, because that's not what I said, but I didn't want him to sign. A lot of people didn't want him to sign. I wanted a couple of other players. I wanted Nainggolan, I wanted Fabinho before him, but I can't argue with the fact that he's playing very, very well. But I've said this so many times and people won't listen. My dad's a Chelsea fan. When we got Matic, or were linked to Matic in June, he was laughing at me. He said 40 million for Matic. He was rubbish the season Mourinho got sacked, and he didn't do much last year. So 40 million is brilliant, and we're going to get Bakayoko. I spoke to him a few weeks ago, and his mouth was hitting the ground. He was like, I can't believe we've sold you Matic. So, Chelsea fans got it wrong as well, because what Mourinho's done is he's got the Matic. He's wanted Matic. He's stolen Matic from Chelsea, and he knows that Matic can play like he did the year that he won the title with him 3 years ago. He's not been playing like that for 2 years. You speak to any Chelsea fan, Matic has not been like this for 2 years. And, a few of them are saying, I'll give him a couple of months and he'll go back to how he was. He won't. He's playing in a totally different way under Mourinho. Mourinho is giving him the responsibility to run the whole midfield. Last year he had Kante with him. So I think anybody who was worried about Matic, which I was totally right. Absolutely right. Because he wasn't this player. And the only person who really knew what a great signing he was going to be and what he could get out of him was Mourinho. And to be honest, I ain't going to start patting anyone on the back who's a United fan who says, oh, I wanted him, because I don't remember anybody calling in on the Skype shows, anybody on the live comments. I don't remember anybody saying it, and if I did, I'd read you out. But Mourinho wanted him, and to be honest, that's all that matters. He's the one who should be getting the credit. Brilliant signing, and long may it continue. It's a kind of mad itch. I like that, Snaps. Forget the Lukaku bat song. Let's get that going. I love a bit of Queen. Mark Mohammed says, don't you think it should be up to Lukaku if he thinks it's racist? No, it's not how it works in this country, I'm afraid. The law is that if somebody perceives something to be racist, and a complaint goes in, then it will be. It's not necessarily, if I was... trying to think. If I was gay and I'm sat in a pub and somebody called me something very homophobic, but I laughed at it and was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever, that's fine. But somebody at the table found it homophobic and they reported it. That person could be arrested, and dealt with under public order. So it's not what Lukaku thinks, it's what one or two people think in the 75,000 ground. And to be honest, the complaints have probably come from bitter Everton fans, to be honest, because they behaved disgracefully against Lukaku at the weekend. The thing I was really proud of is that our top scorer, Rooney, comes back and gets cheered and applauded off the pitch. Lukaku for Everton gets booed because he wanted to go and play for a bigger club. So there we go. Roy Keane, leader of men. I love that comment. Anyway, JME, you'll have to watch it back about Lukaku because I can't keep going on about it. Fellaini versus Marks as HTX. He'd have a bigger reach than me, but I would deck him, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, I would. In a boxing ring, Fellaini would get floored. I'd go in with an axe and I'd chop that tree down. I wouldn't go in a ring with Fellaini anyway. Any ring. It's any betting tips for tomorrow. I would say Lingard to score at any time, says Ben 70. I haven't had a look, to be honest. But what I've had a look at is Vol. It's the new football app for football fans. It's growing very, very quickly. Get on there. Link in the video description. Follow us at United Stand. We've got that poll up there about Martial. I really want to see what people think about that. Should he be playing tomorrow? Would you take it as a positive if he doesn't, because it means he'll play in the more important game against Southampton at the weekend? Link in the videos for description for Vol. It's available on Android and on Apple, and it's going to grow very, very quickly. It already is, and it's going to be the place for social media for football. It's like a cross between Twitter and Instagram. Make sure those people, a few people again saying they're not getting notifications, make sure you've subscribed underneath the video and make sure you click that bell and tick and save get all notifications. That's the only advice I'm being given you at the moment, but if we keep getting problems, we'll come back to it. That's 40 minutes on a preview. It wasn't meant to be that long, but you asked some really good questions. So thanks everybody for watching. We are back tomorrow night. At I think, what time's the kickoff tomorrow night? Does anybody know? Don't forget to drop a like on the video. Actually, I need some love at the moment. I'm feeling I've had a bit of a bad day, to be honest. I've let things bother me that shouldn't do, and some support from the United Stand community would be very appreciated. But United is an 8 o'clock. Oh, I hate 8 o'clock kickoffs. I hate 8 o'clock kickoffs. So we'll be live at 7 o'clock tomorrow night with the team news, and then through till full time. Some interesting games tomorrow. Arsenal, Doncaster, Chelsea, Forest, Everton, Sunderland, United, Burton, and West Brom versus Man City. Of interest in the other games at the moment, they all seem to be pretty much 0-0. Palace are beating Huddersfield, Norwich are beating Brentford, and the rest of them are 0-0, which is a lot of 0-0s. But 8 o'clock kickoff, so we'll be live at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Thanks everyone for watching. Live comments have been brilliant tonight. Really was looking forward to getting live and just interacting with some people who actually want to watch the content. So I really appreciate it. You're a fantastic set of people. You know that. And the community is strong and important. We're a global fan channel. We've always been a global fan channel. Doesn't matter where you're from. Indonesia, New Zealand, Africa, Canada, Mexico. Doesn't matter where you are. Your opinion to us, in our eyes, and everybody on the live comments, matters as much as anybody's. Nobody's opinion is better than anybody else, as long as you've got an opinion. That's what football's all about. So keep getting involved, keep spreading the word, and thanks everyone for watching. And we'll be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock. For the team news and a game that I'm very excited about. Can't wait to see Luke Shaw starting, and I'm hoping that we'll see at least half an hour of Angel Gomez. Have a great evening. I'm off to watch the Bake Off. Apologies. I told you. I'll apologise about Matic, and I'll also, when I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. I like the Great British Bake Off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's just who I am. I'll see you all later. Thanks for watching.